All right, and now to weigh in on this matter, we're now joined by political analyst, Professor Dirk Kotzé, and he joins us now via our video link. Professor, thank you so much for your time this evening. Let's start off with this development from the ANC's NDC, of course, upholding that decision to expel the ANC's former president, Jacob Zuma. One would say that this was expected.
Good evening. Yes, it was indeed. I think it was very little arguments that President Zuma could present to the appeal committee that could overturn the original decision. This was in essence not a decision about specifics that he did in terms of his activities within the ANC. It is much broader. It was about national political issues, actually, that came between him and the ANC. So from that point of view, it's impossible almost to argue that there is still reason for him to be able to be directly associated with the ANC.
And why would the former president even appeal this decision in the first place?
I think the reason why he's doing that is part of a narrative that he developed right from the start, right a year ago almost. And that is that he was saying that he's actually not moving away from the ANC when he's associated with MK. And he sees MK as a vehicle or as a mechanism to bring back the original ANC, the old ANC, the ANC that he believes is the genuine ANC and not the ANC which is led by President Ramaphosa now. So what he did not want to do is to say, I distance myself from the ANC. He, therefore, in a more symbolic sense, wanted to keep a very close alignment to the ANC, though it is through actually the opposition to the ANC in the form of MK. So in terms of logic, it's very difficult for I would say, the general public to accept or understand it. But it's very much part of the logic of President Zuma to say that he ultimately is the one who's going to save the ANC in the end.
And the former president keeps on saying this, that he will save the ANC and he will die as a member of the ANC. But what does then this do to the image of the ANC? Because it really took a hammering in the 2024 elections.
I think the ANC did not have much of a choice. It is impossible and for the public to be able to understand that the main opponent of the ANC in this past election, in the form of President Zuma, who caused most of the losses of the ANC from its 57% to the 40% where they are now, and still to embrace him. That will look like an absolute fundamental contradiction which the public won't be able to understand. So I think purely from a sort of a public consumption point of view, or a public marketing or explanation point of view, the ANC did not have any choice but to take this position.
And will former President Jacob Zuma's positioning within the MK party continue to impact the ANC going forward?
Yes, I think this is inevitable. It's almost a symbiotic relationship that exists between the ANC and MK. They are so very close to each other from a political and historical point of view. The persons who are the main leaders within MK are to a large extent former ANC members. Some have first gone through the EFF, but they also were first in the ANC. So it is a situation where it is, in a sense, a reshuffling or a redistribution of membership amongst these organizations. I would say the ANC, MK, and the EFF to a large extent. And this is why it is very often for the general public very difficult to understand what's the differences between them and what makes it that they move between, for example, now the EFF and then move over to MK. If it is not that in terms of ideology or philosophy, that they come from the same point of view, they will say that is the Freedom Charter. But now they have differences, especially when it comes to the relationship between the public and the private sector, the role of the state, and then in some instances, the issue about land.
And following this expulsion from the ANC for former President Jacob Zuma, what does it mean for a party like the MK party, where it now prepares for its one-year anniversary on the 16th of December?
Well, I think for MK, it will, in a sense, be a consolidation of it. I don't think it created uncertainty within the MK. They know or knew from the start that President Zuma is now the leader of MK or the president of MK. So the outcome of this appeal didn't change really any of that type of relationship or associations. As I said earlier on, I think it's more for President Zuma himself and about the fact that he can, from a symbolic point of view, still claim or could have claimed that he is still directly associated with the ANC. But from a party political point of view, from MK's point of view, it actually did not or does not make any difference, the outcome of this appeal process.
And as the ANC also prepares, for its birthday in January, on the 8th of January, what do these current developments then also mean for a party like the ANC that took a major knock this year?
I think the main challenge for the ANC, and President Ramaphosa is saying it all the time, is that they must now reorganize themselves. They refers to it as renewal. It must be that they have to rebuild themselves. And I think what the evolution or the appearance of MK has done is that some of the factions within the ANC that was in the past called the radical economic transformation, to a large extent moved over to MK. So what we are now seeing is that the old factions of the ANC actually exist now in two different parties, which means that in a sense the ANC is now is supposed to be more coherent from a political point of view than what it was, let's say, 3 or 4 years ago. Whether that will mean that they are going to be able to project that into the public domain is still a challenge for them. And that is where I think the election of 2026, the local government election, is going to be a major test for them. Whether they can convince the public that they are now, it's a different ANC, it's an ANC that's much more focused, there's less divisions within the ANC, and that the public or the voters can actually trust them more as a result of that.
All right, Professor, thank you so much for your time and for your thoughts there. That is political analyst, Professor Dirk Kotzé, giving us his insights when it comes to the latest development coming out from the ANC. And of course, officially there upholding the decision by the National Disciplinary Committee to expel former President Jacob Zuma from the ANC.